ourselves, things that we haven't been doing, and that made the difference probably in the second half in Clare. But once we settled into the game, I thought we were very comfortable. We created plenty of opportunities. One or two things got away from us in maybe the last 5 or 6 minutes before half time, including the goal chance, and maybe that's just a bit of experience in terms of knowing when the critical moments are in those games and when to control the ball and not rush things. And maybe there's still a bit of learning in those areas. But started the second half really well. I thought halfway through the second half, before the first goal, I thought we were in a really strong position to kick on. I thought we were the team with the energy and creating good chances. First goal was sucker punch, recovered really well. I thought there was great character to recover from the first goal, and then once the second and third went in, it was difficult for them. But they battled right to the end. Rory got a great goal towards the end, and we could have had another 1 or 2 goals as well, in the flow of the play. But ultimately, win a championship match, it's disappointment. It's alright talking about positives, but that's not what the team are talking about inside. They're talking about frustration. Trying to be better next time.
Yeah, that first goal said we had the next 3 points in a row, come right back into it again. Just from the Mayo performance here, Roscommon, the start of Clare, what has been the big change? Because the team has just all of a sudden come back to a competitive, strong side. Defensively, they're much more solid, and then we attack. The brilliance of Gallen today, of course, with 9 points, phenomenal. Of course, we're missing the likes of Langan, Mogan, fellas. I guess, of course, Ryan McHugh long term. You think if you put them in the mix today, this could be a very different outcome. So you've really turned things around from where we were 5-6 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, listen, I don't think it's necessarily all of a sudden. I think that's just it's an evolution really. We had a lot of younger players getting first taste of football at this level through the National League, which is really difficult environment to learn in, and I think they're really only understanding now that they're as good as the people who are around them and the people who went before them, and as good as the teams that they're playing, so that understanding and realisation takes a bit of time. But I think one of the things we talked about is being more than the sum of our parts, and we're starting to see that more and more every time they're on the training pitch and on the playing competitively. We're seeing little bits of better. Games are coming thick and fast, and that's brilliant. That's what you want, because ultimately these games are benchmarks against the best teams in the country. The fact that it's a really, really disappointed dressing room is a good message for the group, because Derry are a quality team. They'll be one of the benchmarks for somewhere here. But there's more in our boys. They know themselves that they let chances go. They switched off for the goals in terms of track and runners and things like that. Things that are solvable that they can be better at. And ultimately, the only focus now is Monaghan in 2 weeks. That's a critical game for us.
Yeah, just last question. The Monaghan, McMurray's back. Obviously, your captain's back. In terms of Monaghan's performance against Clare today, who we destroyed in that second half, does that give you hope going into this Monaghan game in a neutral venue? We can go up and get the 2 points, and as you say, this team's evolving. The players are growing in confidence. This will give us confidence today, even though the result come up short, that we can go and beat Monaghan.
Listen, ultimately, Monaghan are a good side. They're Division 1 team, retained Division 1 status this year. They're a handful and as good as anybody in the country on their day. Ultimately, we feel the same, that we're as good as anybody in the country, and if we bring our best attributes, we're as good and better than most. So the Monaghan game will be no different. It'll be a huge challenge. That's an important game for everybody. The groups aren't finished until the final games are played. So you have to bring everything to each of these group games. And again, Derry was a benchmark today. Monaghan will be another benchmark in 2 weeks to see where we're at.
Thanks.
The goals in the second half, they were very similar runners from deep that really hurt you. Was the team flagging at that stage, or was it concentration switch off? They were very similar.
Yeah, there's a couple of things in that column. First of all, we gave the ball away for all 3 goals, so it's have to probably go back a couple of phases of play in each of those. So if we don't force a couple of things at the other end, if we keep the ball, we don't lose those balls. But once you get to that critical part of the championship phase of the game, everybody's fatiguing, there's no doubt, and that's why the ball needs to be protected. So once you're chasing, once you're giving turnovers, it's very, very difficult for teams at Derry's level to close everything off. So for sure there's a concentration and communication thing in defence. Goals are very frustrating when we see them back. But ultimately this is a learning process for some of these lads. Being able to play at this level consistently and understand that there isn't a downtime, there's no there isn't 5 minutes in the middle somewhere you can get a breather and reset. That's a big part of the learning for the team.
How hard is the mental aspect for the players of playing against? I'm thinking of Brendan Rodgers, like he had own band picking him up when Derry had the ball, but then there's a different situation at different times. Like to be that switched on and to always be alert, the gaps are nearly inevitable.
Yeah, well, listen, the players are. That's the game these days. The players are well used to that flow now. Obviously there's players that in any game you play that you want to absolutely close down, and our best players need to do that. And listen, for big parts of the game we did a really good job on that. Our key men probably didn't have vintage games today, and that was down to some of the performers of our lads. But there's a balance in that, because you don't want to take away your own quality and take people where they don't want to be or where they can be effective. So that's just the modern game. The players playing now are probably way more accustomed to it than anybody else looking at this stage, so they know the game.
Is that a difficulty for you as a manager? Because you saw what Monaghan did last week. We took McCarron and McManus out of the team in order to sort of match Derry's mobility. I think four of Derry's goal, not singling them out, but 4 of Derry's goal chances came off them running either at Jason or Keelan McGonigal. Can that be just that wee difference in mobility was a big factor there?
Yeah, listen, you can read a lot into moments in the game, and you can pinpoint one instant as a pattern. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I don't think any of our lads are necessarily weak in those areas. In terms, like Keelan McGonigal, for example, is one of our best defenders. He could play him full back, man marking. It's about collective defending. So each of those goals, I know when we look at them in detail, there'll be 4 or 5 boys could have made a decision that would have avoided the goal. It's defending is a collective exercise at this level, and ultimately 3 times we lost track of runners, switched off, and were punished. And that's the level Derry are operating at. You have to be right on it for 80 minutes.
Aidan, was it tempting to start Paddy today, or was that never an option? He was a...
Listen, anytime you have Patrick really available, you want him on the pitch as long as possible. He's done a serious amount of work to be where he is. He probably shouldn't be where he is, but he's his dedication and attention to detail and his ability to push boundaries is phenomenal, and he is where he is because of all of that. So listen, it wouldn't have been fair to put him in. Probably the window that we used him for was about right today, but he's better every time we're on the pitch, and he'll be much better for the game today too. So the rest of the championship still to unfold for him.
What about Jason?
Don't know on the injuries there. Jason and Owen Doherty carrying knocks there. So obviously games are coming thick and fast here, and Monaghan are only 2 weeks away. So hopeful that it's fatigue more than anything. But anytime you see them holding the back of the leg, you always worry.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Jason.